Hello everyone and welcome to your NARSA weekly update for the week commencing Monday the 18th of September 2023. It's Gary here again and I'm back, and you know what, I could say kind of bright-eyed and bushy-tailed from our fact-finding trip down to Kissimmee this past weekend. Well, it was a wee bit longer than a weekend, I guess. I went on Thursday and came back on Sunday in preparation for what we anticipate to be the convention being hosted down in Kissimmee in 2025. But I'll get to that in just a wee bit here. This week we did indeed have Rangers back firing on, I was going to say firing on all cylinders. It wasn't really that though, was it? Firing on some cylinders as we at the very least got back to winning ways in the league, thankfully, and we will also get to that in a wee bit as well. But what I did want to start with this week was with some exciting news about finally getting the opportunity to properly partner with Five Stars on an ex-Rangers player event. What we've organised now for this week coming actually is an evening with Neil McCann, and it is coming up quick here with the event. The event going to be hosted this Thursday, the 21st of September, starting at 6:30 p.m. in the Bramalearangers Supporters Club. The rough itinerary for the event is going to be, I believe it's going to be some photographs at the beginning, and then there's going to be a Q&A, which I also believe is going to be led by frasercurrie, the president of the Bramalear Club there, and then there's going to be a wee breather for a wee bit of raffling and other fundraising or whatever, and then there's going to be a follow-up Q&A which will comprise of questions from the audience, not so much shout-outs from the audience. I don't believe that's really the Five Stars model, but more submit your questions and the least offensive or best ones will get read out and then answered by Neil. My understanding is that he is just an absolute diamond of a guy to work with, and really looking forward to getting him over to these shores. So hopefully you'll get an opportunity to get over there and see him in person. The event, I mean, I would say if I was there, it's not to be missed, and I cannot wait to hear how it goes. And what I can tell you directly is that Neil has been an absolute pleasure to deal with throughout this whole entire process, and I know that he's very much looking forward to it as well. So it should definitely be one to remember for sure. What I'll do for tonight in the blurb for the pod is I'll just put the details on how to order your tickets for Bramley. What I do know also is that Fraser and the team over there at Bramley would really appreciate if you could let them know if you're coming. I know that they anticipate some walk-ins for the event. It's $20 for the event, but what it's like if you're organising something, you like to try and get a bit of an idea of exactly how many people are coming so that you can cater for that, just in terms of having the right amount of bar staff on and making sure that everybody has what they need as well. So yeah, as I say, I'll put the details in there. If you could get yourself organised, maybe get some folks from your club if you're in the greater Toronto area and get yourself over there, that would be absolutely magic, and I'm sure you'll have an absolutely fantastic time as well. Okay, on to the game segment. Just the one game this past week, and it was of course Saturday's very much needed 2-0 win and a clean sheet. But it unfortunately came at a cost where our goal scorer Danilo had to go off with a broken cheekbone, and the guy just can't cut a break right now, can he? Oh, this is too bad. I'm not laughing at him. I'm just kind of laughing at the irony sort of thing. But I got to enjoy this particular game at the Orlando Rangers Supporters Club with Big Colin and his crew over there, and it was a great time. And it's always a great time when we win, isn't it? And do you know what? I did? I almost completely slept in for this one as well. We had a it wasn't too bad, but relatively late-ish night on Friday. Nothing wild or anything like that. I set my alarm for earlier on Saturday morning because I was going to get up nice and early, contemplating heading to the gym or at least doing some sort of workout in the room or something like that. And as I'm contemplating that, the next minute I'm getting a phone call that says, "Move it, we're all in the Uber and we're waiting for you." So I guess I completely fell back asleep, which I have to say, honestly, is not like me to do. I typically don't sleep in that much, but I did have a lot of later nights and early starts in the days leading up to then. It's just been a bit of a hectic time over the last wee while. So maybe I guess the old body was just taking a wee bit of a much needed break when it had the opportunity. So almost a whoops moment, but we did get there. We didn't miss any of the game, and we got there on time. So my apologies to my colleagues for that one. That's my bad. Anywho, the game was all right, wasn't it? Bizarrely, for some reason I didn't have any doubts at all that we were going to win this one, and that and we'd had a bit of a lively discussion about what we expected from the game, just with the people that were down in Kissimmee with us, and I had said, and I meant it from the heart, I really don't care what happens as long as we win. And I absolutely meant it. I'll take a 1-0 with a scrappy goal in the 92nd minute if that's all it's going to take. But thankfully we didn't need that. I just would have taken anything on the back of or to get back on the winning path on the back of the way that things had ended before the international break there, and get us into just a wee bit of a better headspace before this week's big games. Actually, the next 3 or 4 weeks was a series of massive games for us as well, and that's exactly what the team did, with goals from Danilo and Rabi Matondo to secure the victory for us. And a decent enough match, I suppose you could say. So the positives all day long. The positives is the result, of course, and the majority of the play I thought was pretty good. I thought we approached the game exactly how we needed to, and we had it felt to me like we had a bit of a determined feel to our overall game, and more game time together for the team is only going to bode well for the future as well. And it was great to see Rabi Matondo having another impact when he came on as well. And I have to say, I'm a big fan of his, and really seeing him contributing important numbers for us this season already, and we're just getting going here. Also great to see Tom Lawrence starting, and to see Kamar Roof complete 90 minutes as well. And I know that Michael Beale had talked about both of those things in his post-match press conference as well. So really positive. Overall, I thought we contained them to pretty much. I don't think Jack Butland did a single save to make. Actually, in fact, no, he didn't, because I'm looking at the stats here, and they didn't. There was 2 attempts on target, but none of them were actually on target. So, other than just kind of mopping up some bits and pieces here and there, one of his quieter days as well. So, we'll take it. Negatives from this one, not too many. The main one, of course, is the injury to Danilo, and I have to admit, at the time, I didn't think it looked that bad at all when I first saw it. And even when you look at it from different angles, it's very, very difficult to see what actually happened. But when you see a striker who is desperate for playing time and a goal to really get himself going down immediately after scoring, instead of running to the fans and just letting his emotions kind of get the better of him to celebrate, that something's happened and that things aren't quite right. And unfortunately for him, and us, of course, it was a bit of a bad one. He scored a very brave and very instinctive goal, but unfortunately has paid a bit of a hefty price for that. I've no idea how long he's going to be out for now, but I guess if nothing else, it's an opportunity for the other guys in the forward line to come in and lay a bit of a marker down to keep themselves in the starting lineup, especially while he's not there. Now, I think I also did I see or I heard that Michael Beale had also talked about it just being kind of told by the doctors roughly how long that Danilo would be out, but he didn't mention exactly what that is. But you see these folks, just going around about with the kind of face masks, the protective face masks on, and when stuff like that happens. So hopefully it's going to be kind of sooner rather than later, if they can definitely protect it. I did see something online today, I think it was maybe on Twitter, that, are you allowed to still call it Twitter? X, whatever it's called, formerly known as Twitter, that he had the operation, and he was awake and he's standing up and he's giving it a thumbs up in the hospital gown there. So hopefully that bodes well, that he'll still be able to keep himself fit and keep himself active, and then when it's safe and he's ready to do so, he can get himself back there. But yeah, a real shame for him. Not what you want to see for the new guys at all. In terms of the stats, 70% possession for Rangers and 16 shots on goal with 6 on target, and as I mentioned earlier, they are just the 2 on goal for them and 0 on target. So it was like playing against a bottom of the league team, but we typically usually see something where we kind of huff and puff and make things a bit more difficult for ourselves, but on this occasion not so much. On the referee watch, I think Nick Walsh, I think he's honestly quite a decent referee for the most part, and for the most part he does call it like he sees it. And although VAR once again wasn't our friend, as we had a perfectly good goal that was chalked off for offside, when it was so blatantly onside, I mean, it was close, but it was onside from the angles that we've seen. So I've no idea what the video assistant referee was thinking about with that one, but I'm just grateful that yet another blatant refereeing error didn't cost us more drop points like it did in the previous game, or the game previous prior to the international break. So other than that, fairly standard performance, nothing too much going on in the match for him to get himself all worked up about. So he'll get the standard 7 out of 10 for that one, I think. In terms of this week, 2 games this week, one in the Europa League group stages, the group stage opener, the first game, and one in the league. And interestingly, this week's game starts a run of 4 games at home in 3 different competitions, and I think that's kind of odd, isn't it? To get 4 games on the bounce at home, and then we'll see. So we've got the Europa League, of course, and the league as I mentioned, and then we've got the League Cup as well coming up a wee bit later on in the month. So the first one is, of course, at home to Real Betis. And that's on Thursday the 21st of September, which is also an evening with Neil McCann night, and it's at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that's why we made it 6:30 p.m. So if you are planning to attend your club, that you'll still hopefully have time to make it over to Bramalearangers after that, and you're not going to be rushing too much, and you'll get a chance to see a Rangers legend there as well. So of course that's 8 p.m. UK kick-off time. Quite honestly, I don't know too much about Real Betis at all. What I do know is I say Betis and Betis quite interchangeably, so you've probably noticed that already. But knowing that they were one of the top teams, I think they finished 6th in La Liga last season. With the testimony to that, being one of Europe's or one of Spain's representatives in Europe, they have to be a good side, you would imagine. That said, they are coming off of an absolute doing, 5-0 from Barcelona on the weekend. But interestingly, if you look at the league table, I know it's early days, but interestingly, had they won that game, excuse me, against Barcelona, they'd have went level on points with them as well. So they do sit in 10th right now after 5 games, and I'm sure that with Yanis Hadji now being over in La Liga, that he's done some scouting for us, and we'll have done our homework on this mob. And you know what, it's imperative to get off to a great start here in the group, just to give us a good chance to qualify, to set the scene properly for us to go through here. The group, I think, has been kind to us if you compare it to, for example, the Champions League group that we had last year. So we just need to be firing on all cylinders. Michael Beale had said, I think in today's press conference, that we've the 2 games at Ibrox we've had in Europe this season thus far, we've scored 4 goals and we've created a lot more chances. So hopefully that continues to bode well, and that will be the case as we move into this game and as I say, get off to a flyer. The second game is on Sunday, and that's also at home, as I mentioned, and that's at home to Motherwell. And the league, of course, moved from what was originally supposed to be Saturday, and now that we're in the Europa League, we play on Thursday, so we don't play until the Sundays now. So that's Sunday the 24th of September, and that's a 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time kickoff. So you know what that means in Calgary? That means it's Pints Day on Sunday. So from 9 a.m. I'll be able to serve some pints for the folks that make it down to the club there. Imagine getting served by the president. I mean, that has to be a big honour. Surely people would know that and would actually come down for that as well. And we shouldn't be too worried about Motherwell coming to Ibrox at all, ever, actually. But we do need to take care of business properly on Sunday and stick to the task of a game at a time here. It is difficult not to think too far ahead sometimes, especially with some of the bigger games on the horizon. But I personally thought that the one game at a time mentality was an absolute cornerstone of success in the 55 season a couple of years back. So let's kind of get back to that, Rangers, shall we? In terms of RTV, same idea as the last couple of times. We are just in the process of getting through some of the questions. I kind of stalled on that a wee bit, to be dead honest, and my inbox is a wee bit out of control as a result. So I'll try and get a bit more progress on that this week. If you have not received a response and are expecting a response from myself or Sandra or Alec Grant, or maybe even Alan McWatt, depending who you emailed, please email again just in case, and then that'll get it back to the top of the inbox and it'll save me searching for it. But we are working through that, and just other things seem to have kind of taken over a wee bit. In terms of shout outs for this past week, I actually meant to do this one last week and just inadvertently overlooked it, which 100% my bad on that. But I did want to pass on NARSA's sincere condolences to the family, friends and members of the Cambridge True Blues on the passing of long-time member Billy McMahon, who had passed away peacefully on Monday, September the 4th, and I was part of a distribution list that Billy Fatkin had sent out, the president of Cambridge, to the members, just talking about the passing of him. You never like to hear that. That's all we seem to be talking about these days. But sincere condolences from everyone at NARSA on Billy's passing, and I hope that the funeral, I'm assuming the funeral's probably taken place by now, and I hope that everything went well with that, and apologies again for missing that one last week. And on a similarly sad note, the club announced yesterday, I'm sure everyone has seen, and I'll just read this out if you don't mind. Everyone associated with Rangers Football Club is saddened to learn of the passing of former player Ronnie McKinnon at the age of 83. McKinnon, a Hall of Fame member with 2 league titles, 4 Scottish Cups and 3 League Cups, while he was also capped 28 times by Scotland. The club extends our sympathy to Elizabeth, his widow, and all of his family, and the family request that their privacy is respected at this sad time. The club will pay further tribute to Mr McKinnon in due course, is how it finished there. So very, very sad. We had a bit of a conversation about this yesterday on the NARSA WhatsApp group, and I think it was Brian Campbell had said that he was a guest in Orlando the last time we were there, 2011, and for the life of me I cannot remember. I was there, and I cannot remember meeting him at all, which is wild, because I'm always remembering meeting the legends of the past. I'm not exactly sure why I've got a mental block on that one, but very, very sad news, and obviously a very, very well thought of fellow as well. So sincere condolences again from everyone at NARSA to Mr McKinnon's family and friends, and of course the club as well. So this is a point where I typically tell you how long it's going to be until Leo is actually 16 so he can start earning. And then he announced to his mum at the weekend, who then told me over text, and then we've started to talk about it tonight because he's just home now tonight, that he wants to get a job earlier than 16, and he doesn't care what he does as long as he can get money. And I'm saying, you're 14, you're going to be working for a long, long part of your life. Maybe you don't need to get a job so early, but I get the look as if, what are you talking about, old man? So I don't know, I'll keep you posted on that one, but maybe he'll be washing dishes here sometime soon and bringing some much needed money into the household, especially with my pending change in career coming up, which I'll maybe tell you about a wee bit some other time. On the convention update for this week, for NARSA 2024, I can officially confirm it's 255 days and 36 weeks. Am I right saying that? Let me just double check. Yes, it is. That's right. I'm always fearful I don't update that properly. Till our convention in New York City, assuming we can confirm the dates of the 30th of May to the 1st of June. I'm repeating myself because I've said this for weeks and weeks and weeks now. I need to be super clear. We're not formally confirmed with them as yet. We did make some headway, and I know I mentioned this last week in terms of what would be possible for our ability to get the hotel, and we're looking at right now a bit of an option to do something a wee bit different, maybe the Thursday and the Friday evenings. Still going to be a NARSA convention, still going to be very much Rangers through and through, but something just slightly different than what we've done before. If I wasn't away for 2 days last week, and then over the weekend as well. We would probably have had this locked in by now and be in a position to start to say, right, we are really gearing down on this. As I mentioned last week, I do want this to be wrapped up and have it signed and sealed and ready to go by the end of this month, and then we can get on with the proper planning, and we'll see how it goes from there. So yeah, we'll see. And I don't mean to be completely vague around that, but it's just not 100% organised as to exactly what we're going to do yet. So we just need to get some facts and figures and have a conversation as a NARSA exec, work with the local club, and then see where we can take it from there. So just to reiterate again, we're targeting the dates of the 30th of May to the 1st of June, but we have yet to sign the contract. So please don't book any travel yet until the proverbial ink is dry on the contract. But I do hope to have some more to share on that. We were just having a conversation on the WhatsApp convention committee group there just about that, just prior to me recording this evening as well. For NARSA 2025, I have no idea right now how many days or weeks or days it is just yet, but I'm going to use this spot to provide a wee bit of an update to you in terms of what we accomplished this past weekend. We had, from NARSA, we had myself there, we had Lorraine Spence and Billy Ferguson, and from Rangers we had Greg McCallum, the head of partnerships, and Natalie Nairn, the head of events there as well. And from Experience Kissimmee we had Jessica Beers, Tyler Wayant, and a number of other members of the team. My apologies, I didn't take down everyone's name from that. I do know Ali because she was trying to help me when I was delayed on my way down to try and get me picked up. Actually, she never really helped me now that I think about that. She got back to me the next day saying, sorry, I missed your message last night. But she was a very sweet lassie, so that was okay as well. On the Thursday, talking about travel, supposed to get there around about the back of 6. We're all going to travel in a car together down to the hotel, and then just get a chance to hang out, get to see each other in the night. But as seems to have been the case with me for travel in 2023, stupid delays in Calgary made me miss my connection down to Orlando, so I was about 7 hours delayed on the way there and got to the hotel pretty much dead on 1 o'clock in the morning. But the good part of that is that was only the start of my travel challenges, and I'll tell you a little bit about what happened just today when I get to that point. But on Friday morning we got up nice and early. We met down at the lobby at 9 o'clock, and we had breakfast and lunch very closely together, and both of the meals were absolutely gigantic, and I was stuffed for days. I actually felt awful about myself, like, Gary, you fat pig, So anyway, we had breakfast and then a tour of the property, and the property that we were touring was called the Gaylord Palms Hotel, and then we had a lunch in one of the on-site bars that was there, and it was this resort is just incredible. It's like a tier 1 resort. It's got everything. It's got a number of restaurants, a number of bars, a number of facility, a number of options and opportunities to do what we need to do, and they treated us like absolute gold dust. You know what they actually did when we checked in, and we get into the room, there was a nice bottle of wine in the room, and then there was 4 bars of Cadbury's chocolate, like a fruit and nut and a dairy milk, and a what else is it, would be the whole nut, and there was a 4th one, the caramel one as well. So that was very, very kind of them. But also, do you know those wee night lights that you get plugged in to the wall? They had one of those wee night lights, and the wee image above it was the Rangers badge. And so when you clicked on the nightlight, which was red, the Rangers badge just kind of projected around the room. It was absolute, what a exquisite touch that the hotel did, and I don't know who came up with the idea to do that, but that was very, very nice to see that. Very, very nice indeed. We then went over to another resort called the Omni Resort as well, and we were met. They're very different in look and feel and size, honestly, as well, but such a lovely hotel. They got a cracking a wave pool outside, an external wave pool as well. So we already start musing about the blue sea of Ibrox and a pool party and things like that. And the folks that were over there were brilliant to work with. The lassie did a great job of walking us through, getting a chance to see the guest rooms, get a chance to see the banquet facilities. Wee bit of a smaller resort, but a little bit of a more intimate feel to it as well. So they treated us very well as well, and we had a quick drink and a couple of snacks with them afterwards, as if we never had enough to eat already that day. And then the rest of the night was pretty much just our own, just to hang out. Saturday morning, as I told you, I had my wee lie in, and then we had the St Johnstone game, and then a walkthrough of one of the properties down there called Margaritaville, and get a chance to look around that, and lots of options and opportunities over there as well. Just in terms of the kind of staple stuff that we would consider doing, but also just extra, something a wee bit different, something just to give you a bit of an idea of that we're thinking differently, we're planning to do things differently, and that kind of thing as well. And then we went to another property called the Embassy Suites, which had nice banquet facilities, and I'm sure that it would be a good overflow. I don't know so much if that was really going to be, a serious contender for the actual event in and of itself. But the wee lassie that took us through there was lovely as well. In the evening, we went to see Orlando City versus Columbus on Saturday night, and what a comeback victory Orlando City enjoyed. It was absolutely unbelievable. They were 3-1 down with about something like 15 minutes to go or so, and then they ended up rallying and winning it with pretty much the last kick of the ball, and the place was going wild. Their ultras there, they're just bawling and screaming the entire 90 minutes, and it was absolutely incredible entertainment to pull out a 4-3 victory at home, to put them into second place in their conference was amazing. And quite honestly, I didn't think they played that well at all, especially in the first half. I thought it was all Columbus, but great to see. It's always great when you're there and you're part of the home team, and experience Kissimmee. Jess and Tyler were very, very kind with us and really absolutely spoiled us the whole evening as well. Sunday morning, very early start, 4:30 a.m. pick up from the hotel, because I want to get back to Calgary nice and early, around about 1 o'clock, 1:15 I think it was planned for in the afternoon. And you guessed it, more delays on the way back meant that I missed my connection in Toronto again, and had to get booked on a later flight, which added another 5.5 hours to my journey. So over 12 hours of delays for what essentially was a quick 2.5 day trip is just garbage. And I'm kind of bloody exhausted, to be dead honest. I was in my bed at like 9:15 last night. I didn't set my alarm this morning. I was like, I'll just wake up when I wake up. But thankfully I don't sleep long anyway, apart from on game days obviously. And getting back to normal now, which is why I'm getting the opportunity to talk to you right now. So next steps in terms of 2025, we're going to be getting some proposals for review, and then in terms of dates, in terms of availability, in terms of projected pricing for everything that we need to accommodate as part of these contracts from each of the properties that we went to. And then we are liaising already. We started the conversations before we went down there, but liaising on a more organised, or a more deeper level with the club as to what type and style of support that they'll be able to provide us here as well. And then I think we can get on with looking to sign a contract, quite honestly, and start the planning properly. So it's very, very exciting to be working at long last in genuine partnership with Rangers Football Club and Experience Kissimmee on this. We're pretty much on our own from an organisation perspective. It's ourselves and the host club each time, and to have Experience Kissimmee just there, they know what they're doing, they know the properties, they know what works, they know what doesn't work, and their enthusiasm is second to none. It's absolutely infectious, it really is. And then to have Rangers already saying, this is what we could do here, this is what the space could look like here, this is what we could organise then, and getting some real genuine VIP presence, of course, but like the VIP feel to the whole event. It's just that these folks are professionals, and we are volunteers, and we do the best we can, and typically we do well with our organisation. But it'll be great just to get a bit of help, and have the load a bit lightened for us in 2025 as well. So it's groundbreaking stuff here, folks, and I'm really, really looking forward to seeing what happens as we go forward, because I have thoroughly enjoyed the support that we've had thus far as well. From another business perspective, the the membership fees for NARSA. I mentioned on a pod recently, I can't remember the exact date I said, but that we need to get on with getting the membership fees in. And for any clubs that are delinquent on their membership fees, they will have their Rangers TV account suspended. And I mean that's what's going to happen. So what we'll be doing is, if your club, I think there's only 5 delinquent now, which is great news for this time of the year, although the Constitution does say that you're supposed to have it paid by the 1st of August, so kind of not really. But if it's not by the 30th if payment isn't received by the 30th of September, then the RTV will be cut off. We're not going to do it just, and there's a cloak and dagger move in the middle of the night. We will tell your club this is exactly what's going to happen, but please be warned that is actually what's going to happen, because we just need to get the business and the admin side of this stuff tidied up, folks, and get ourselves organised and see where we go from there. On the comms front for this past week, I didn't actually look at the Gers guide today. Usually I do that on a Monday because they seem to publish it quite late on a Monday, but I'll just take a guess and I'll say the press conference for the Betis game will be Wednesday, the game will be Thursday, the press conference for the weekend's game will be Friday, and the game on the weekend will be Sunday. There you go. Like that's perfect. That's like a home run that I've just hit there. I don't know when the women's team are playing this week. I apologise, but man oh man, are they absolutely kicking arse right now, aren't they? They are just scoring for fun. Michael Beale and your team, take note. The women's team are absolutely rocking it for right now. But just another couple of quick things on the communication front that I thought were worthy of mentioning for this week. The first one was the Rangers have launched or are in the process of launching a WhatsApp channel, and I just noticed that yesterday. We had a wee bit of dialogue about that on the NARSA WhatsApp group actually, and the article said Rangers are excited to confirm that we have joined WhatsApp channels, a new private platform which allows users to receive updates that matter to them. So I think this is the key, to receive updates, because this is one of the things. I think it's all push communication. I don't think it's a dialogue, it's not two-way. So there'll just be push communications. When the club wants you to know something, they will send it your way. And then I'll get back to the message now. Launching globally today, and I think that was yesterday, Rangers are the only Scottish club to work with Meta ahead of the feature's launch. WhatsApp channels exists within the free app, which currently has 2.7 billion users worldwide, and serve as one-way broadcast. There you go, one-way broadcast for brands and organisations to instantly send news, updates and content to followers. As part of our ongoing supporter engagement strategy, Rangers are committed to improving the relationship between Rangers and its supporters. And this new platform will allow us to share important supporter information and club updates directly to supporters. You can follow the official Rangers channel here, and if you look at the article on the website, there'll be a wee link to click, and then you get yourself organised. And it started to be rolled out, so it might take some time to reach your device. I checked not long before I started recording. I still don't have anything from them yet, but keep your app updated. Go subscribe, keep your app updated, and then we'll start to get information. And I think it'll be like team news and things like that, sort of fun stuff. If it starts to get bombarding with Castor gear being sold or whatever it is, then you can maybe just unsubscribe if it's not your jam, as they say. And in the same spirit of fan engagement, the club also announced the next steps in their intent to formulate a fan advisory board. And as part of our supporters engagement strategy, the club said, Rangers announced our intention to create a fan advisory board, and that will act as a representative voice of supporters and provide regular feedback to the club's board and senior management. We are pleased to announce a selection panel for the FAB, the FAB, who will oversee the application and election process and ensure that the FAB who will represent the diversity and interests of the Rangers fan base. The selection panel are Greg Marshall, who's the head of fan engagement, John Gilligan, who is a former board member, of course, and a fellow called Ashley Brown, who is the head of government and supporter engagement at some organisation, football something. I can't remember exactly where he's from, but yeah, this is kind of bringing back some memories. It's like the official fans board that we had back in 2014 that I was very much involved with. I was actually the secretary of the official fans board back in the day, and it looks like the process is fairly similar. They did mention in there the election process, part of that as well. So that's kind of fun and interesting, and it was very, very exciting for me personally back in 2014 to go through the application process to then to get elected onto the fans board. I'll never forget getting the voicemail from Jim Hanna, who was the supporters liaison officer at the time, or liaison manager I think it was at the time, and he couldn't wait any longer. He left me, like, there's a couple of voicemails. The first one was like, phone me back, but this is all with a 7-hour time difference, and the second one was like, I need you to phone me back, and then the third one was like, you're on the board, I need to go phone other people and tell them they're not. So but that was so exciting. And the actual process itself, I mean, in the moment, I remember back to where we were in 2014. That was right in the heart of the dark days. Very, very, very difficult times for the club and for our fans at the same time. So there was lots and lots and lots to do, and there was a lot of conflict on the board, and a lot of it didn't end as well as any of us were hoping, I don't think, and it's just one of these things that happens. But it was a very good experience. It ended up actually with whomever was left on the board at the time. We all got a letter from, I think it was David Summers at the time, whoever was the chairman, saying, you have been officially fired from that. I can't remember exactly. I should look at that letter actually. And it says, you've been officially fired. Hand back everything that you were ever given from us, which was nothing, just emails and things like that. And don't ever talk about this again, or we'll be coming for you. And I was like, oh, wow, okay, talk about ungrateful. And yeah, it didn't end the way, as I say, that anybody wanted it to end. But oh well, that's one of these things that happened, and as I say, I'm happy to have been involved in it, and I'll be more than happy to advise the club on anything they would like in terms of help for this new fan advisory board as well. I have no intention myself of running for it. I just don't have the time on this one. Anyway, this is a bit of a longer one. I didn't actually expect it to be quite as long, but there was lots of information to share with the Kissimmee trip, and of course with Neil McCann's night as well. I would like to just take this opportunity once again to thank you very, very much for taking the time to listen, and please do share it with whomever you enjoy it. I'd like to also send out an extra special thank you once again to Jess and Tyler and the team from Experience Kissimmee for treating us so well when we were down in Kissimmee there, and of course to Greg and Natalie for making the way over. They should be flying right now, because their flight was 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so that would be 6 p.m. my time, and right now it's 7:38 p.m. so hopefully they're safely tucked up in the plane and on their way back to Glasgow there. So until next week, I think we're really back into the thick of things now, aren't we, with the games coming thick and fast, and a lot of games that matter over a very short period of time of the next wee while here. So hopefully we can get back into the habit of just winning games. Actually, let's do that, Rangers. Let's get back into the habit of winning games. My friends, take care of yourself, and until next week, all the very best, okay? Cheerio.